Hi, I'm Harry Wingfield from the UCF IRB staff. In this module, I will talk about things you might want to consider when planning your research. The first thing you need to do is decide what you want to research. Some of you may decide to work on a study that another investigator, like a physician at Nemours or a UCF College of Medicine investigator, is planning to do. But some of you may want to plan your own research. If you're planning your own research, you need to develop a research question, telling what you hope to discover from your research. To formulate a research question, be specific and narrow in the scope of the question. Then, try to answer the question in the simplest way possible. Short, simple questions should be formulated, such as, what are the difference in side effects of treatment A versus treatment B? Or what are barriers to medical care in an underserved population? Or what resources are available to persons with a specific medical need? Or how do College of Medicine students feel about the quality of training in a specific medical area like infectious disease or palliative care? Also, think about whether you can enroll participants. As you're planning your study procedures, it will be helpful to get input from the types of people you hope to enroll in the study. Is your research question of interest to them? Are the procedures you are asking participants to do reasonable? Would they enroll in a study like this? Why or why not? If you do consult with potential participants, mention this in the resources section of your protocol. A frequent comment from board reviewers is, how are they going to get people to enroll in this? Here are some other things to consider when developing your research around the research question. It's important that you consider your ability to complete your proposed project. Think about your experience. Do you have any idea how to do research? Think about the project deadlines for sending your study to the IRB, getting IRB approval, enrolling participants, conducting the research, and completing the research. Think about how much time you have between now and your deadlines, given the other demands on your time, like classes, labs, studying, taking care of your mental and physical health, and so on. Think about how much time your faculty advisor and mentors and other study team members have available to help you meet the deadlines. Ask yourself if the project can be simplified and still answer the research question. Ask if your project addresses any new issues. Does it add any new information to current knowledge? And ask yourself, are you genuinely interested in this research topic? Motivation can work wonders with time and deadlines. Note that other departments at UCF regularly send us research protocols related to the causes and effects of high stress for students. Being realistic about your resources and designing your project accordingly is a great way to avoid this stress. In refining your research question, it's important to balance your priority to get published with the IRB's responsibility to ensure the lowest possible risk for answering the research question. Remember, earlier in this course, I said a major responsibility of the IRB is to reduce risks to participants. If you want to add procedures that increase risk or collect information that might be risky for the subject, you will need to justify this in your protocol. We can approve these, but they need to be justified by their contribution to the scientific merit of the study, and not because it will make it easier to get published. Also consider the value and complexity of any added elements and keep the research as simple as possible. Speaking of keeping it simple, for instance, some complex activities like photo voice have many unexpected regulatory requirements: copyright, privacy, confidentiality, and so on, and can cause major complications to a study approval process. It could add days or weeks to your approval process. Is an added procedure like photo voice necessary to answer your research question? If so, plan on submitting your research even earlier than the recommended 6 weeks in advance. And it's probably not a good idea to conduct a prospective, more than minimal risk clinical trial as your first research project. If you want that experience, consider taking a role in an ongoing clinical trial as a research team member. So let's say your career interest is in sports medicine. So your research question involves looking at recovery from knee injuries in professional soccer players. You could design research that's very simple, like not human subjects research, or a little bit more complex, like exempt review, a bit more complex, like expedited review, or more than minimal risk, which is full board review. I will cover all these categories in greater detail in another learning module. So back to the research question, knee injuries in soccer players. There are public websites that track this information. This means the information is not private information, so the human subjects part of the human subjects research definition is not met. It is NHSR, not human subjects research. You might ask a sports medicine clinic to send you de-identified medical records with no link to let you re-identify the players. This is also not human subjects research because it's not identifiable. You might ask a soccer association to send out a recruitment email on your behalf, asking soccer players who experienced a knee injury to complete an anonymous questionnaire online. Or you access medical records from a sports medicine clinic, but you do not record any identifiers. Both of these can be exempt review. But you access medical records from a sports medicine clinic, but record the identifiers. Now, if you record the identifiers, it has to be expedited review. This will require more information to be provided to the IRB. If you don't need the identifiers, you can use the data without the identifiers and keep your research and your IRB submission simpler with either exempt review or not human subjects research review. Say you use an external device like a cast or a splint to inhibit movement and simulate the effects of knee injury without actually injuring the knee. The IRB will ask a medical expert to confirm that this is still minimal risk. If the medical expert agrees, this can be expedited review under Category 4, non-invasive procedures. Again, more on all of that in another module. But if you use an invasive technique like injecting saline into the knee area to simulate knee injury, this is more than minimal risk, and it will require full board review, which could extend the time for your approval by several weeks. Make sure to submit your project to the IRB at least 8 weeks before you start the study, if it's going to be full board review. So here's a question. You want to include a complex procedure in your research. What should you consider? First option is, do I have the time and resources to complete this before my deadline? Second option is the procedure required for scientific integrity? Third answer would be, would a simpler design answer the research question? And number 4 is all of the above. The correct answer is 4, all of the above. And that's the end of Module 2. The next learning module will discuss definitions of human subjects research.